Okay, you can see
welcome.
People are
Again,
gathering.
I'm Sherry Knight, Associate Vice President for University Communications. We're here to update you on what's happening with the situation here at CMU. Obviously, we have the governor here with us today, President Ross, and we have some of our police individuals. Roger Houck is here, our state representative, and we appreciate you coming. We want to brief you on how the various police agencies are coming together to continue to keep campus and community safe and what's happening on that front. And I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Klaus as our first speaker.
Yes, good afternoon. I just wanted to reiterate it's a sad day for us here at CMU. It's a most unfortunate event that took place on our campus, and we'll provide a brief update of where we're at in the investigation. Currently, the involved individual that was identified earlier this afternoon or this morning, James Eric Davis, he's a black male, 19 years, approximately 5'10", 135 pounds, is still outstanding. We have multiple police agencies and assets actively looking for him at this time, and we believe our assets are concentrated north of our campus. So that's a location that we're focusing on. However, I would like to reiterate that a significant amount of time has went by. We want to make sure our community stays safe. So we're encouraging people, if they see Mr. Davis, to please do not approach him. We can consider him to be armed and dangerous at this point, but to call police, call 911 in an effort to locate this individual. In regards to the investigation, like earlier today, we can confirm that two are deceased. At this point, we cannot release names or identifications. We're in the process of making confirmation on those identifications of the deceased individuals. But what I can tell you, it was not a student, faculty, or staff member here at CMU. We have a tremendous amount of resources here with the state police, our federal partners, FBI, ATF, our local jurisdictions, CMUl Pleasant, Isabel County Sheriff's Office, tribal police, well over 100 police officers from this area and region and state actively looking for this individual. At the current time, we're working with CMU assets and state police to do a slow, methodical removal of people from our residence halls and buildings. We're encouraging our faculty, staff, and students to wait till they are contacted by uniformed police. We will provide transportation. We have buses, and we're facilitating getting our students, staff, faculty out of our buildings and academic buildings. This is going to take a little while, but the more resources we get here on campus, the quicker we'll be able to accomplish that task. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to President Ross.
Officer Brown first from the city.
Please. Sorry.
One note, I did want to clarify one thing. Earlier in the day, I did advise that the individual had went to McLaren Hospital. That was incorrect information. He had been admitted over at UM Health Systems on Pickard in Michigan Health. So I want that corrected for the record. It was not McLaren Hospital.
Thank you all for coming. Our officers, along with the other assets, are working very diligent in our community, trying to find and apprehend this individual. We want our community members to remember to stay in their homes, and if they see somebody that looks not normal in their community or not somebody that they're used to call us right away or matches the description as the picture's out, to give us a call right away. We're asking you not to engage that individual. But the big thing we want everybody to remember is that our community is safe. We are a safe community. We don't have many incidents like this, and it's something that we have a lot of individuals out working very hard to apprehend this individual. So there's no reason for you, mass panic, I guess is what I want to say, and we're asking you for your help in identifying this subject if you see him.
Good afternoon. This has been a tragic day at Central Michigan University. The loss of life, traumatic effect on our students, our faculty, our staff, our neighbors here in Mount Pleasant and throughout Isabella County. I want to thank law enforcement on our campus and throughout the state. I want to thank the governor and the state police, the assets they brought to our community to help us apprehend this person. We're working towards that. I want to assure all of you and everybody watching that the safety of our students, the safety of our faculty, our staff, the safety of this community is paramount. And we will do whatever's necessary as we go through this process of understanding what happened, as we go through this process of learning from this to make our campus even safer. I spoke to a group of parents a little while ago. I did some hugs. We chatted, but it's all about the safety of our community. And I'm here as the president of Central Michigan University to reinforce the fact that's our #1 priority. The governor's help, the help of the police resources will help get this criminal apprehended and duly punished. But the hurting will go on for a while, and we'll do whatever's necessary. When today is gone and the cameras aren't here anymore, there'll be students on our campus and faculty and staff members suffering from the incident that happened today. And the care for those individuals will continue as we move forward. So, Governor, thank you very much for all you have done, and the state police and Lieutenant Krause and our university police, and I appreciate Representative Hawk being here today. And thank you very much.
Well, thank you, President Ross, and thank you for your leadership. The university has responded very well to this tragic situation that needs to be addressed. The part is we are all rallying together. This is about how we support one another during challenging and terrible times, and that's what this was. This was a terrible incident. It was an isolated incident, but we had 2 people that were killed in a residence facility. That's traumatic to the students, to the parents, to the staff, to the faculty, in this case the community, because this individual is still at large. And so I would reinforce what our law enforcement people have said. I hope everyone can rally, and to the degree you see something, say something, contact us with any information that we can help apprehend this person. There are very significant assets and resources out there committed to finding this person. We will not stop until we've resolved that issue and caught this person. We need to continue, though, to support one another during these difficult times. In addition to catching the person, the priority's been on how well we can support the students, the parents that have gone through this event, how well we can support the residents of the Mount Pleasant area. There's been a great rallying of resources. I appreciate having legislative resources. The city manager's been active, multiple law enforcement agencies. Again, from the campus resources to the city resources to the tribal resources to the county to the federal level. We have ATF, the FBI here, along with the state police. Everyone is working together to do whatever we need to do the apprehension of this person, and then to safely make sure we can get students, faculty, staff home. And make sure that we provide long-term support, as President Ross said. This just isn't about what happens today or what happens through this process. We need to be there to support particularly the students through the end of the school year and whatever they need to deal with this traumatic event. I'm sure people are going to ask how this relates to everything else. We were already active looking at what we can do on our campuses and our schools to protect people better. This reinforces the point. This is not simply about K-12. This is an outstanding university, and we need to include our campuses, our universities and community colleges, and how we can do more to help protect our students and our staff. So this will be an ongoing dialogue. We won't have all the answers today. What I can tell you is there's a commitment to do what's right, to get out there, to do the right thing, to catch the person that did this, to support the students, faculty, staff, and residents of this fine community, and to continue working hard to better Michigan. So I appreciate the teamwork that's gone on, and we're going to follow through and get the job done. Thank you.
President, you mentioned that security changes and this is a safe campus. Are there any plans on security changes here on the campus after this?
Well, today we're dealing with the incident. We are dealing with, as the governor mentioned, the safety of our students and faculty and staff who are still on this campus. At some point in the future, as we get through this, we will take a review of our processes, take a review of our policies and procedures. There's always opportunities to learn, but we will dissect this and review this after the fact. But today, we're worried about families today. We're worried about students. When I met with those students at the conference inn today, they weren't really interested in processes at this point. They wanted their son or daughter with them. And let's get that done today. I'll be happy to talk to you about processes and reviews at some future point.
For one of the law enforcement officials here, numerous stations out of Chicago area are reporting that this is James Davis Sr., who was one of the people killed, along with his wife, Diva. Can you guys confirm that? He is a police officer in the Chicago area. And another question is, too, if this is indeed him, was that police officer's gun used in this shooting?
Right now, we have the Michigan State Crime Lab. Their technicians are processing that scene. The deceased individuals are still at that location. We've got to get confirmation. Before we release anybody's name or identity, we have to have that confirmation confident before we release that. Right now, I cannot release that. I can't release whether, if a weapon was left at the scene or where we're at with that, and I can defer to the colonel because they're assisting with that portion of the investigation with their crime scene technicians. But, sir, at this point, I just cannot release the deceased individuals' names. And I understand where you're coming from. You've got information from other sources. As soon as we're able to make total confirmation of who we have deceased there, we will release that information.
Do we have any know where the suspect, where he's from, his hometown?
State of Illinois.
What would you say to the students who now have to dwell on this during the whole spring break?
Dr. Ross?
I would hope that our students, as we go into spring break, muster the courage to talk about it. I don't want them to hold it inside. Hopefully most of them will be with their families and their loved ones. I think they need to share their experience and talk through it. As they return to our campus after spring break, in fact, the governor and I talked about this earlier, our counseling resources will be reinforced to give them an avenue to express their concerns, their fears, their apprehensions, but I don't want them holding it inside. I want them to talk about it and share, and that's where the healing begins, once you start talking about it.
Again, for one of the law enforcement officials, throughout the course of the day, have you been close at all to catching him at all? And do you have any update on what he might be wearing now? I know earlier today you guys said you weren't sure about what he might be wearing because he may have discarded some clothes along the railroad tracks as he made his escape. Have you had any close calls? Are you getting any closer?
Here's where we're at in regards to apprehension. We have not had any of our police assets lay eyes on him. We have not had any calls from the community saying they've seen him. So right now, we're going off our best, his route that he left our campus, and we've cordoned that off. We have ES teams going through that. It's a large area. There's multiple places where an individual can hide. He was last seen a dark hoodie. We found clothing along the railroad track. Whether or not it's his, we can't confirm that at this point. So right now, I can't give you a definitive answer. Police have not seen the individual. We have not, flushed him from a location. We have not had a call that have seen the individual in that area. So right now, we do not know where he is at, and we're actively looking. We have many, many teams on the ground. We have air assets in the community looking right now.
Just a quick follow-up. As darkness, we're a couple hours away from it being dark. How has that going to change things, as we get towards dark?
Right, and that's a concern for all of us. We still want to encourage the residents of Mount Pleasant to shelter in their homes, not to be super active until the individual is apprehended. So we want to make sure people are safe. We're working very diligently right now with our partners with state police and our other law enforcement partners to get this campus, our students, faculty, staff off this campus so we know that they're home safe. It's the beginning of spring break. Most people were planning on leaving today. So that's kind of where we're at in this whole process on locating the individual and getting people to safety.
Speaking of students, I understand that we are slowly vaccinating students off of campus throughout the different on-campus buildings. How is that process going? And for students who live on campus, where exactly are they at in this process?
Right now, the Towers complex, we've pretty much gotten the vast majority of the people, students out of that facility. You know, it's got 6-7 large residence halls within a quad. So we're pretty confident we got the vast majority of our students out of that location. We're doing it through the use of IECT buses. We're transporting them to their parking lots so they can get their cars, or we're taking them to the Comfort Inn. So a parent at that location can take them home from our campus. So we just shifted to our South Complex. We're working on that. We've also got a number of academic buildings, the East Quad, North Quad, that we have to do. The more resources that we have showing up on campus, we're speeding that up. But we still will have to go through those buildings in the event somebody didn't get the message and check all those rooms to make sure everybody has left our campus.
And what about those stuck on the 4th floor of Campbell Hall? I heard through a CMU alert that all buildings are being evacuated except the 4th floor, and I understand from what you were saying.
Right. The 4th floor is technically locked down. It's an active crime scene. And between the Michigan State Police technicians, the officers there at that location, they'll make a determination on when we can get those students off that 4th floor.
President, we're hearing that the student was expelled. That's why his parents were here to pick him up. Can you confirm that?
I actually have no knowledge of that. I will have someone check on that. I don't know that for a fact, no.
A couple of questions over here.
Obviously, earlier today, you talked about how the suspect was taken to the hospital last night for a drug-related issue. In talking with officials over there, what have you been able to learn about maybe his mental state or anything about why this happened, what led up to the shooting?
And that's some of the pieces of the puzzle we're still trying to put together right now. I know we had CMU police that dealt with him last evening, and at some point in the evening, he was transported over to U of M Health Systems on Pickert for an evaluation, which we believed was drug-related. Now, whether there was a mental health component that was in conjunction with that, we don't know. And so some of that, through the course of this investigation, is going to be ferreted out. And as soon as we have that information, we'll be forthcoming and provide that.
Were police initially responding to a drug overdose, or were they called for a different reason last night?
From my understanding, they had a difficult student that they were dealing with in the Towers complex, and that's the way the call was received.
All right, we will continue to monitor this situation. Obviously, we have tremendous resources dedicated to this. Safety first, always, and we will communicate with you as we learn more. Thank you.
Any other briefings today you anticipate?
It'll depend on what happens next.
Okay.